Look, we
Do
doing
the
a lot of
intro.
stuff today. Doing a lot of stuff today. Welcome, everyone, to episode 71 of the Made in Dreams podcast. I am your host, Mighty Vicious, joined as always by Jamie James, aka Cuthbert Prime. And joining us, we have Captain Tim here.
Hi, what's good, everyone?
Here to talk about his many projects within Dreams. So I say let's cut the bull nuggy and go ahead and get this started. Tell us about your work. You give us the whole background.
I'll start off with me because that part gets a little bit dark, but we'll eventually get to the more upbeat stuff later. I started off with video games when I was young. I didn't grow up with video games starting off. It wasn't until I hit my face when I was like very little, very little. We didn't have video games. We were just running around being kids. At some point, I was at a friend's house. We're jumping on the beds. They had a bunk bed. They had a ceiling fan. Cut myself on the ceiling fan, on the nose, and lucky enough survived. Lucky enough, no one got in trouble. And
Good.
as an apology, the mom got me a PS1 and an N64 as a gift.
I say it was
And I
worth.
Yeah, definitely worth it.
grew up playing like Mario Kart, all the Disney movie games, like the Toy Story 2, the game,
Mm,
and then
classic.
for the PS4 or the PS1, it was the Spyro trilogy, Crash 3, a couple other like small games. I think there was like a SpongeBob game or something there at some point, and
Oh, good.
that's how I got into video games. And then for the art stuff, that was a lot later down the road. I was always interested in video games, all different stuff. I eventually got PS2, GameCube, the Wii, Game Boy, the DS, all that stuff. And then I got into. It made me get into like level designs and drawing characters. Even cartoons too and movies were also inspirational. Like I grew up in the superhero Spider-Man stuff and sometimes SpongeBob and whatnot crap and Ed and Eddie and all that stuff. And
Mm.
yeah, uh, and those and of course I would always find those things very inspirational and wanting to create my own stuff. Eventually down the line, I started learning taking art classes and eventually at one point I took an animation class from someone who's used to work with Disney, like an
Wow.
old person named Al I forgot his last name. Brew? He used to work on
That sounds familiar.
he used to work on like Peter Pan and stuff like that, like the old 2D style stuff.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I used to do like 2D animations at some point, like hand drawing 2D animations at one point. Um, and the I still wanted to get into video games, and my imagination was always about like weird stuff. A lot of my creations were usually based off all the things I like, and of course like gameplay stuff as well and whatnot. And eventually he did pass away, though. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
there was the. But I always wanted to get into games, and I always wanted a game that would be as so easy you could play it on a console, like Dreams. Dreams was essentially the game that I always wanted. And it came out and it was absolutely perfect. It was everything I wanted. A few things here and there could use a few fixes and add-ons, but
Of
other than that,
course.
it was exactly what I wanted, and all my weird creations from my childhood and even adulthood. I think more of this stuff came more towards the adulthood stuff, because I think my creations got more crazier towards like it was around the time. No, little. It was. I forgot what year was Little Big Planet 3 came out.
Oh wow, quite a while ago now.
Yeah.
It was around that year where my imagination started going real crazy,
Mm.
and my ideas started flowing more, and I started off doing more like concept art. I was always a concept artist, drawing sketches, making them, coloring them, trying to figure out the designs of what I want for a character, and eventually Dreams came out, and I finally got to make my creations come to life and animate them, and everything went exactly as I planned. Except when that one time when I accidentally deleted 3 years of work.
Oh, no.
That was
That
last year. That happened exactly last year. Almost actually exactly last year. I was trying to upload an entire collection of stuff that I wanted. Things I didn't remember from the tutorials. I think they did tell you about this was when you're a lot of the stuff I made was old stuff from like the beta. Because
Mm.
I got into Dreams because of people from Twitch. I was watching the Vine Sauce people, Vinny or I know it was Vinny I watched. I got into
mm.
Joel a bit later, and that's when I heard about Dreams, and I was like, oh, I gotta check this out. And I downloaded it, and it was exactly what I wanted.
So let me ask you, just to get in here because we are seeing your work in the reel. I have two main questions, or one question and a request. One, the Hatter game. Like, what is the story? Like, pitch me what's happening with this story.
Jason Hatris, that project is so like that project was way too chaotic that I couldn't even come up with really much of a story for that one. But I did have either a couple ideas. I know back then because I went through like different villain designs with that one. At some point, there was an idea for even an animated series for that, and then there was
Mm.
even ideas for that to have like be one of those games where it's like it looks all bright and nice, but then you get to like the dark truth of the game. Kind of like I guess Earthbound's the best explanation about that because it's like the game's all quirky and wacky, and then you get to the final boss and it's just like, oh no, what am I? I think I just walked into the wrong video game. I think I'm in a Doom level.
So, uh, the next one is the newest stuff you've been posting about on Twitter has been uh, currently on the screen right now. Is was that inspired by a light bright? Like I'm familiar with
Little
being like the kind of older guy in the crowd, so you may not know what I'm referring to.
Oh, the
But
Anomalite
yeah, the
project.
Anomalite project. It reminds
That
me of Light Bright when I was growing up. For those who don't know, just look it up on
no.
Google. It's
I'm going to check that out right now because I have no idea what you're going on about.
yeah.
The it's on screen right now. I can see it. The weird neon. Oh well, it just disappeared. The Anomalite project.
Okay.
Both that and the Ace and Hatchers project has a whole iceberg history of its development. Ace and Hatchers has been in development long before even Dreams came out. Like that year, I mentioned the year the Little Big Planet 3. There was some im, im, there was
Mhm.
some inspiration from that game as well as other games. I think Undertale came out that year too. And I think the test for Subnautica, I think, came out. There was a bunch, and then the demo for A Hat in Time. I think the first demo came out for that game, and I got so inspired by all these things. Oh, and Cuphead. I think they were showing a trailer that there were so many things on that one year. Like, I think that got me really interested in so many things. I think it's because all those things came out and they were all new. I was like, oh, new stuff I never got into. And I always enjoyed something new every now and then.
So,
And
well, go ahead. Sorry.
and for the Anomalite art style, that one has its own uniqueness. Something like that. For the art style itself, the colored parts, that's hard to tell, but on the like the little skirt of the character, that came from the movie Into the Spider-Verse. There's that scene where they're in the particle accelerator, and it's like
Yeah.
so colorful. I'm like, oh, this looks amazing. And then it was also inspired by video game corruptions. Vinny's corruption streams was a
Yeah.
little bit inspirational. And then it was also when I was doing the concept art, I was using a whole big marker kit, and I had some colors that I was just never using. And I was like, well, I might as well use them, and so I was using them to layer one another using one of specific different colors. And usually when you do that with markers, it would come out all ugly and brown. Somehow
Yeah,
this
muddy.
one came out very, very colorful. These specific colors. It was like a code of colors. I put in the right code, and somehow it came out perfectly. And that became the one part to the Adenomalide's design. Eventually, the concept of the main character being an anomaly came from Gravity Falls and SCP. Because those games, usually in a lot of cultures, the anomaly is always classified as like a antagonist. And I was like, what if we made an anomaly character that was a good guy? And I was kind of like thinking of it as if like Pixar was writing a movie. Like, oh, what if anomalies had feelings?
Well, that's very interesting, though. Like to flip the script,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how that idea came from. And then the neon part of her design came from towards the end of Gravity Falls. You see Bill make like a neon castle. I was like, oh, that looks so cool. And so I kind of got inspired by that, or like weird like shirt jacket looking thing, even though it's like also made up of her. Like her clothes are also her same part of her body. And that's where her design came from. And it went through a couple changes. Originally, it didn't have that jacket looking arm part with the arms.
Yeah.
It was just a long, colorful skirt with the head. And originally, even before I thought of the whole anomaly making her a good guy, she was originally going to be a final boss character for a Smash Brothers type games. I had concepts and ideas for. And I thought the art style looked so cool that I'm like, if I were to make like some kind of Smash Brothers type game with all the characters that I had, making the villain be something that's not from any of the series and having a unique art style would be a really cool idea for the concept. And then eventually I got so into the character that it became more or less its own character. And even at some point in development of that, the character went through many different both gameplay ideas and even had 2 ideas for animated series. One was like the first one was like a cartoonish space. I wouldn't say sci-fi because it's like all cartoony-ish a bit. It would be just her living in space as some kind of space anomaly, both dealing with other anomalies as both antagonists as well as allies, as well as like aliens and humans all confused on what they're looking at and dealing with. Eventually, there was also the idea for an SCP-inspired animated thing, where you ever seen the show? It's the show that was from the 90s. I forgot what it was. It was almost like an anime that was made in the Americans, I think. It was forgot what it was. It was almost like a Scooby-Doo type show, but was Martin Mysteries. That was it.
No,
It
I
was
did not see that.
it's like an old, almost like an anime kind of, but made by Americans, and you get more of like a Dragon Ball Z vibes or something from the character designs and the way the characters act because it was a kids show. It was like on Nicktoons or something like that. There was an idea for something like that, where in the show they're like these people who have to like who like solves mysteries and end up either like have their own like secret lab, and it SCP kind of made me think of that a bit. And so I was like thinking like, what if I made a show like that, had an like be the weird funny character while the rest of the characters were like more serious, like something out of like Clone Wars or something. But like they would have to solve mysteries and stuff like that. Like that would have been a very entertaining show if I were to make that a cartoon. And then there was even ideas for different games. Originally, I was trying to make her an RPG now, but originally that wasn't the case. Originally, it was going to be a cross between a Metroidvania game and a Kirby game. And
Wow.
where you would be this anomaly in like an SCP containment thing, and you would have to fight both the people working there and the monsters, and you can either take the other anomaly's powers, or you could like there was going to be some like Undertale like spare or kill and different endings ideas or something like that, and like depending on what happens at the end, you would fight something like that. But I changed that. I couldn't. No, the reason I didn't go that way was back then I didn't have the art style. I couldn't make the art style properly in Dreams.
Yeah, not
I was
forever
even
better.
trying to 3D. I even tried 3D modeling her a few times. It still doesn't come out exactly the way I want it to be. And recently, and this was I think literally some point last month, I made the flat 3D model version of her that you see now, and the pixelated version, which was made like a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to also do an RPG. Ace and Hatris was going to be my first project to hopefully finish. That's almost done, or at least the first demo to that is almost done. I'll get to Ace and Hatris in a bit, but that's going to be hopefully the first project I will release soon. For Ad Anomaly, there was even ideas for like a beat 'em up game that would have also been a cross between the SCP stuff, the Kirby stuff, and like Castle Crashers. Would have been a cross between that. But I was still waiting for multiplayer before I even considered doing that, and of course the art style.
Yeah.
That would have been
the ever-eluding question of multiplayer.
Yeah.
If I were to do that, I would wait for multiplayer.
So let me ask you, from all of the things, all the things that are one in this reel, as well as what you're talking about, like you seem to have a grasp on every aspect of Dreams. Like I've seen your spaghetti pasta. I've seen the wires in the back. I've seen all the rigging, animation you're dabbling with, and like all that. Is there any part now? Of course, things could be easier, and yes, we could have multiplayer or export and all this other stuff. But like, is there any part of Dreams that you don't necessarily like click with yet?
There was a couple. It mostly relates to the whole me unintentionally deleting 3 years of work and how I have to remodel and rework everything. That was a couple like setting options that I would personally be happy if Media Molecule would add, like a setting where you can upload your stuff to the internet but not have it be remixable, rather than having to like press the remix button and then immediately have to press the non-remix button and having to like wait for everything to load up like multiple times, as well as making it more obvious for new players. And the other thing was, why do I have to like update a previous thing that I've created when I'm uploading the new creation, like a remix creation of my own and not someone else's work? I know they do stuff like that to stop like other people from taking other people's work, but there's times where I would remix my own stuff, and it would cause like a domino chain of older stuff that if I I uploaded something to the Dreamerverse, and then I upload a remix version, and the remix version would have been taken from an older version, and I didn't bother to update that because I didn't know that was a thing. Or I slightly remember now that it was a thing, but that back then, completely forgot that was a thing, and didn't know how useful that was until now. And I haven't even tested to see if you do update stuff in the little like red box menu that shows all the stuff that you use in your creation. I don't know if you update that in a remix creation, will it still force the older creation to go back to that save that you already remixed into? Because it kind of did that with a bunch of things. I know Ace and Hatchers, I remixed that so many times because I didn't know what I really wanted for the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one had so much logic going on, it was laggy, and it was like too much, and there was like stuff for specific levels that I wanted to add. And I didn't even get to add all the stuff I wanted. Like, I was considering adding a swimming mechanic, Ace and Hatchers, but that was not going to happen. And a fortunate thing is, though, that it didn't happen because people would skip some of the levels. And even though I was trying to make the levels a bit more speedrun friendly, uh, that was something that I didn't want to do, really. And so it so far has the right amount of logic. So far, every button can do something. My only problem right now is a little bit of bug fixes with some of the things. Like hat toss has so far become my greatest problem with that logic. There's a hat toss mechanic because Ace and Hatchers was inspired by both Mario Odyssey
I was
and
just
Hat in
about to bring
Time.
that up. Yeah. Yeah.
Hat in Time and Mario Odyssey. And originally, Ace and Hatchers was going to have more of a Mario Odyssey possess your enemies thing. And what I wanted to do was have the enemies do multiple things as like combat-based stuff. But from what I learned from videos about how good video game designs and stuff like that, adding combat to a 3D platformer could potentially ruin the 3D platformer, or especially the way that I was thinking about doing it. And I couldn't even come up with enemies that would do multiple things that would fit themes of levels. So I scratched that and just added a hat toss and made the hat toss, when you toss the hat, it automatically targets an enemy or anything. Problem is it sometimes doesn't do that, sometimes it doesn't hit correctly. But I was trying to combine like a mix between the Mario Odyssey hat toss and the there's an attack in a Hat in Time where you like jump and you automatically target an enemy and you hit that enemy. It's like a cross between. I know the Sonic generations or games do that, from what I've seen of those. I've never grew up with those games, but I know there's like a no target attack for those too. And that's what I was kind of doing with the hat toss. Was like, if there's a smaller enemy just flying around the screen, just throw the hat. It's the enemy. Good to go.
So, in short, what you're telling me is the worst part, or the thing that you have the most difficulty with in Dreams, is save functionality. it's basically
Great functionality was.
Can you imagine how great it would be if that was your only problem, listeners?
Oh my god! Like, just how much stuff could you make? No issues. Like,
yeah, I was expecting about. He's like, yeah, this just got me a little something. I'm working on it, but that save function. I'm like, man, if that was my
really
if that was my only issue, man, Jesus Christ, that's awesome.
I mean, I've
that's
had
awesome.
times with like whenever Dreams gets an update and some of my logic gets all messed up.
Oh
like,
yeah,
now
I've
I
heard
have to
about
rework
that.
the entire thing.
Well,
That's definitely happened with Ace herself.
so
When I was doing like the hat propeller thing, the weird Inspector Gadget looking hat propeller thing, the propeller would fly off the head and go around the entire body and clang off the hat itself. And I recently fixed that. So now it's no way, not even an update would break it.
I abandoned a project, and it's just complete. Well, I abandoned a design because I sculpted the design, And then for some reason, like it has like a rim rotator on it. And for some reason now, whenever I try to animate it, like it breaks it into two. So there's the thing that's rotating around the ship, and then there's the like ball of the ship, and they don't work together anymore. I don't know what that is. That's probably just me being an idiot. But when you said the thing about the propeller flying off, I was just like, I really wanted that thing, and I just abandoned it and the project I was creating it for.
There were times where I get like funny glitches, like the hat propeller and stuff like that. There was times where I accidentally phased through walls doing like a dash ability, and went through a map, and I was like, well, that's. And there was a time where I was playing like on Halloween. Someone made like a Mario Party type game, where if you would go back spaces, but there was a point in the game where you couldn't go back, and I think my character fell off the screen. And for the rotation thing you were talking about, recently I've been noticing that a lot of things that I would add rotation logic to, like the little like rotation bone piece that you get, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't rotate. I'm like, is it the game? Did Media Molecule break something, or
it's probably my fault.
Yeah.
Whenever something doesn't work for me, I always believe that it's me. Like, it's just like you don't fully understand the powers with which you are dealing, and you're doing something wrong. Because I'm pretty sure if it was that broken, like, not because of my fault, then I feel like somebody else would have said it already. Whereas, like, I'm sure I probably just broke something, probably didn't make a collision, probably didn't turn a collision tab off or something. Like, it's just, yeah, I always feel like it's just me. It's my lack of knowledge of dreams that, or the functionality of certain things. You know, I'm no A-cert out here. So, you know, there's things I still need to learn.
Unfortunately, we all can't be A-cert where we're proficient in every part of dreams.
Yes, but he still hasn't hit his stride, if you remember. So,
yeah.
So yeah, let me ask you that, Tim. Do you feel like you've hit your stride in dreams? Just as a follow-up from
Okay, here's a good, interesting thing. I almost gave up on the Ace and Hatchers project. I was like very slow in and just wanted to move on to my next project. And this was right before I signed up for this podcast. And when I signed up on this podcast, I had the urge to want to release more stuff to the public and finish the Ace and Hatchers project. So in a weird way, me doing this podcast saved the project.
Wow.
All right.
Okay then. So. Well, I mean, I'm glad that you're continuing to do it though, because it's a really, like, I love the art style, I love the premise of it and everything. Super unique, and yeah, you're doing a really good job of it. So I'm really pleased you've decided to keep going with it, because I'm really interested.
I can't wait to get at least the first demo for that. I think it's just going to be that little world you see right now. Eventually, what I really wanted was the Ace and Hatchers was supposed to be a 3D platformer. There was going to be a hub world, and that little tutorial area was one of like a few levels of one specific world. And what I wanted was to finish that world, or at least most of the important parts of that world, move on to one other world, and then maybe a floor or two of the hub world, and have that be the main demo, like the full demo. And what was my main goal for Dreams was, originally I wanted to make like a little demo disc of all different projects that show different ideas of what I can do, little stuff like that. And I got inspired by an old PlayStation 1
I was thinking it. I was thinking it when you said demo disc. I was like the PlayStation 1, I had that demo disc.
Everybody had that demo disc.
Guys who made I remember having one that had like the Harry Potter like game.
No,
so,
that must have been a later one.
No. It was one of those mixed ones that had like a bunch of different stuff. One of them was Harry Potter. One of them was like Monsters Inc. For like what, and the Monsters Inc. one you could play, but the Harry Potter one was like a little video in the demo disc.
Mm.
And then the other demo disc, the one that I'm getting inspired for, was one the people who made like Pac-Man made, or the people who made Pac-Man and all those arcade games. They released kind of like, I don't know if this was technically a demo disc or like a collection, but it was, you start off in like a first-person view in a 3D museum, kind of like the haunted PS1 demo thing. That there's like a second one where there's like a funny pink skeleton man with funny eyes,
Yeah.
and it's all in a museum, and you get all these different games made by different people. And for the Pac-Man one, it was all the different arcade games that they're working on. And I wanted to make like a little museum. You would go to, you would be in first-person mode. You see all, like, not only will you be able to go through an area and activate the game, but you look at like the art and history of the game itself, as well as a couple little like joke stuff here and there, like maybe like a little gift shop or something with like merch for the game. And oh, that reminds me, a huge interesting question. I don't know if I should save this question for last or if I should ask it now. This was like to everyone.
Yeah, go
to
for
everyone.
it. Go for it.
If you were to make a hard-covered, like a game that you could get a physical copy of, you know how certain games will have like stuff in them, extra stuff. If you get like the special edition, you get like keychains and like art books, a CD.
Yeah.
What would you put in your game? Like for what game and what would you put in it?
What, Dreams game or game period?
If you were to have your, like, if you made a game in Dreams that you would totally love to make as an actual, like, actual game, and you actually can make it as a hardcover game, what stuff would you...
I, for one, would definitely do like a collector's edition where I include a 3D model of the main character. That would just have to be something that I would definitely have to do. I love when PlayStation do their collector's editions, like what they just did for Forbidden West with that huge, really detailed, sculpted character. I would do something like that.
I was thinking, the Anomalite project, if that were to be a game, I would add an art book, because the concept art for that game... Unfortunately, I didn't put any of the art stuff in the little video. I was just saving it for more of the Dream-specific stuff. I didn't know what to really put there. For the Anomalite project, it would be an art book, maybe a poster, like all the characters at once. Although, my concern recently when going through some video games for my trip that I just came back from was a lot of those things kind of spoil the game a bit. So it's like, you might want to play the game first before you open up the art book and the poster. But I was also thinking maybe like a keychain of like one of the pixelated versions of Anomalite, or maybe even the 3D, 2D looking one I made.
I mean, an art book, though, would be possible in Dreams, and you could have it locked until the player completes the game before they can look at the digital art book.
I actually had some very interesting stuff like that for like ideas. I had like one weird idea. I wasn't going to do this anymore. It was, if you beat a game, the reward would be some kind of knowledge. The knowledge I would put in would be like a food recipe. It's like, okay, you beat the game, here's a burger recipe for a really good burger, or something like that. Because it's like, what would... Because in Dreams you have the whole limitations, and I originally, way back years ago when starting the concept art for Ace and Atlas, there was the idea of costumes. Fortunately, for two reasons: one, the limitations, and two, the gameplay, the costumes were kind of cut off from the game. But I had ideas for that, like, because there was going to be collectibles and a currency, and what to use the currency for. And my idea was to use the money to so you could buy another level play.
Cool.
So, I guess if I had to do one, it would be... I do think it would probably be like just like an art book. Like maybe not even for the game, just like uh just like a place for all those things and dreams that are going to sit in our queue and never be finished. Just like this is what you almost got.
That's a good idea, though. I like that. Like,
you
what
know,
you would have got, yeah.
because I feel bad looking at it every time. I mean, like when I'm go back through all the stuff I started on or started working on, and like things that I didn't know at the time to try to be able to complete, and I'm just like, I wish there was a place for all of that, just because it might be something that you no longer think of, but somebody might see it and be like, wait, what's that? Like, you should go back to that and have like just something that kind of feeds the need to go back and really focus on the things that kind of are like in the trash bin of the Mind Palace. Yeah. So, stuff like that. But I know the answers we got from chat, actually, Insane Alpha Beta said he'd have an Izalith mask.
Nice.
Jet Yeti said concept art, unused animations, and a soundtrack, and a devlog. Dag, you be working on all that, but
that's
longer
like
than the game.
Super edition of the game.
Yeah, that's that like EA $120 version. That's that one.
Straight up.
Yeah,
that just makes me think of like the Battle of Bikini Bottom, like that when they remade that, there was that huge box that came with all the statues and stuff like that. That cost like a lot of money. I was like, oh my god. I don't think I would do something like that. I would do something like the smaller indie games do for when you buy like the Switch versions.
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
Like Shantae or Hollow Knight had like a poster and a little map that kind of spoiled. I was like, no, let's not read that yet. Shantae had a disc. Listen to the music. I haven't started that game yet. And then Dave's Story had a little keychain, and it came in a little case thing, a little nice comfy case. And I was worried because the keychain looked funny. I thought it was something completely different that I was getting. I'm like, what am I getting? And I'm just glad I saw a keychain come out of there, because I thought it was something else. I don't want to say what I thought it was, but it was. It looked like something else.
Cynic said statues are a physical prop of the game. And when y'all were talking about like concept art books and stuff like that, it reminded me of Ink the Line on Twitter has actually taken a bunch of their dreams, like concept work, and made an actual book out of it.
Yeah.
And it looks really amazing. So I mean,
high quality as well.
Yeah. So people looking for ways to export your work.
Right before Dreams, people were telling me I should do like a coloring book, all the crazy stuff that I came with, like an adult coloring book or something like that.
That would be a dope thing to have.
Yeah, that
would be
really
impossible
cool
for Ad Anomalite, because that art style is just you need a specific thing of markers for that, and you need the patience.
Hey, I say make it happen. Let it. You can't be picky with the colors. I mean, that's the point of the coloring book.
Yeah.
You can be inside the lines, but outside of them at the same time. I mean, it's the beauty of it, So anyway. So yeah, I'll let you go ahead and continue talking about your projects, because I don't want to cut that off. But yeah, continue.
Other stuff that I was going to talk about was stuff that I worked with other people. I worked with Ivan, who I met from one of, I believe it's Killstream, and I was showing some of my stuff to him, and then he wanted me to help him with the work on a project called Alone. I made a whole bunch of stuff on that. I'm not going to spoil that yet. The stuff I've done on that is done, but it has not been implemented yet. And then I've also met some people from Instagram, because I started out on Instagram before doing more stuff with Twitter, because I did concept art before Dreams came out, so I was more familiar with that. And of course, I noticed everyone from the Dreams community was more on Twitter, so eventually I went to that as well. And I met someone called Hoodie Bandit, who was working with a bunch of people with uh, a team called Boxworth Studios. And some of their stuff they're more towards like making their own versions of band projects kind of stuff. Like one of the thing they needed my help with was a Sackboy project for like the Sackboy's Big Adventure type game. And I was like, I met him because I was testing something from like a Paper Mario themed logic thing that I saw, and I was wanting to use 3D models to make 2D looking shapes, and I was I got inspired by a Paper Mario thing that I saw years ago that someone made, and the test the 2D 3D model thing, I decided to make a little Among Us guy because this was when Among Us just started getting popular,
Yeah.
just for testing perfect, and posted it, and then Hoodie reacts with, "Oh my god, I was thinking the same thing, Paper Mario plus Among Us." I'm like, and that was the start of how we became friends from Instagram, and of course I helped him on the Sackboy project, and there are other projects that I was considering, but so far I haven't gotten the time to want to work on them. Like there was a Hat in Time project that I thought was really interesting that I would totally have loved to work on, and there was a Battle for Bikini Bottom thing that they were also working on, and those were the only few people that I've worked with on Dreams. And another thing that I've been doing was the only thing that I'm not super great with in Dreams is the music. And I've created something to help me with that. It was I had to program something in Dreams to help me with music. It was a music note randomizer. What it
Okay.
would do it would give me certain notes. There would be times where I'd go full crazy with like it was called Wheels of Music. There would be like these giant wheels with like a little arrow in it, and it would either show or different ones or ones for how big the note should be, what note it should be, and then there were like smaller ones that were made for like minor and majors, and like ones for smaller specific notes if I want to make a song that only uses smaller notes, and one for like long note songs. And then I also made ones based off two of the other like I forgot what they're called, but they're in the music logic mechanic thing. And I've been making some actually shockingly good songs using this randomizer.
Wow.
And
And does
it was
it randomize in key, or like is it just literal
what
random
you're
notes,
supposed
or
it's just it tells you what notes you play is what it's supposed to be doing. It's like it tells you a note and you play that note yourself. You don't it doesn't input the music itself. It just helps me learn
yeah,
more about how music works and how
that's what I mean. So if it's telling you what notes to play, it must be telling you what key to play it in order for the notes to melodize with one another, right?
kinda it's like it's so random that it doesn't
Fascinating.
really
I
do
would
that.
love to play around with that. Is that
That
public,
is one of the
or
ones that I've released. That's
okay?
been released for a while. I
I'm gonna have to
recommend
get a
it's
link for that. I want to mess around with that
called
immediately.
Wheels of Music. And it
Wheels of
is a
music.
very
All right.
interesting game.
I,
And
I'll
how you're
make a
supposed to
note of
use
that.
it, uh, use it. I did make like a little selection of pre-made music if you want to hear some of that,
Mm.
and also uh, how you're supposed to use it is I haven't figured out how to. I tried doing this and for some reason it wasn't working. Was I was trying to make it so you press a button, and it would both start it and then another button to reset the whole thing. So for now I've just been having but because I couldn't get that to work, I've been having to like turn off on and off the pause button and like rewind time, start time to get a whole new roll with the wheels. And it's been a mix between usually what would happen is the randomizer would start off, I would let it make its own way to make a song. There's different ways you could use this. Sometimes I would make it where it starts its own song, and then I try and figure out how the rest of the song goes. There's times where I let it just pick different keys, just the keys itself, and then I have to use those specific keys to create a song. So it's kind of like I'm doing like a challenge. And
wow, it sounds fascinating because for something like this to sound logical in the sense of creating it, you would assume that the person designing it would have a background in music in order for it to function correctly, but it's quite the opposite with you, where you've made this piece of logic to help you understand music theory is mind-boggling to me. So yeah, I'm really, really
I
intrigued
know
by that.
that is my one of my favorite creations, and it has helped me so a lot with understanding rhythms, melodies, and some of the other stuff that I don't fully know about music. And I've been really enjoying some of the songs that came out, so I really recommend checking that out.
Yeah, 100% I will be.
Yeah, I've already put the link for it in chat. So if anybody wanted to check it out, I put up the In Dreams link. So yeah, give that a go. Now, I would say, is there anything else regarding your projects you want to get out there? Because I was gonna go ahead and switch over to some of the topics that we've chosen to talk about today. But I don't want to cut you off in the middle of your stride.
I think the last thing that I was going to point out was the origins to Ace and Hatris was a bit more because, as I said, both Ace and Hatris and Anomalite kind of have huge icebergs of how they were supposed to go, and there were times where even Ace and Hatris, I was even considering turning that into an RPG here and there, and the story of how I got inspired, how Ace and Hatris's design got inspired was way back in that one year that I kept telling you about. When Little Big Planet 3 and Undertale came out, I got inspired by the villains of both of those games and created a character called Hattie, which was my first favorite designed character I have ever made. And then I got inspired by like I got inspired by Papyrus and like 90s cartoon villains with like the mustaches and whatnot, and like the Cuphead art style because that's when Cuphead was being shown off a bit, and created this 90s cartoon villain character called the Great Wild Card. He was like this magician looking guy who would wear Hattie as a hat. And originally it was supposed to be like a video game idea where like the plot twist is Hattie's the real villain and Wildcard was some kind of puppet character being controlled by Hattie almost for like a project that I was thinking about working on years ago. And I did make a 3D model version of Hattie, and I did try to do a Wildcard one, but that one got deleted. And the problem right now with that one was the cape. At the time, I didn't understand capes. I understand capes a bit more, so I could technically rework on that.
Yeah.
Back then, I didn't understand how to make a perfect cape. And then at one point, the first demo for A Hat in Time came out, and I wanted to make I was thinking of like mechanics for video games if I were to make a 3D platformer back then, and of course this was before Dreams, and I was like, got inspired by that character, and I drew like a girl version of a wild card as a kid, mixed with like it was like wild card mixed with that kid. That's how Ace was created, and eventually, once A Hat in Time actually came out, which was like around the exact time as Mario Odyssey, essentially, I got inspired by both of those games because they were all like hat themed, and I had a whole character who was based off, who was a hat character, and so I wanted. It reminded me of also back when I was young, I would draw custom levels for video games that I always loved, and both those games remind me of that. So I was making concept. That's when I started working on the concept art for Ace and Hatris and the levels and whatnot. And then eventually Dreams came out, and most of those levels have been brought to life. Although a lot of them got deleted, but I will definitely try to remodel a lot of that.
Yeah.
And don't worry, because the older versions were not super visually impressive. I have some new ideas for some of these levels that will definitely increase quality of life in terms of like visuals and stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the
Especially
things
the
that
open
I've. Yeah, that's one of the things I really like about. Well, I didn't like losing all my work, but because I did, it caused me to kind of redo things when I knew more, and it ended up coming out better and like
Yeah.
looked better. So it's just like, yeah, that's always, nobody likes losing, you know, years of work, but if at least if you start back working on it and you're like, oh, I've gotten a lot better since then, that's always a plus to it. But speaking on that, I wanted to talk, because you said and then Dreams came out, and I've been having a conversation with myself as of late, and I put up a poll an hour before we started this episode, and that is the poll was, have you had trouble playing other games since Dreams came out? And so I want to present that question to both of you and see how you answer it, because I'll get to my
I have
problems.
some interesting answers for that one.
Well, then
So-
please, you go first, please.
Well, not really, because sometimes there'll be parts in my projects where I don't know what I want to add, and I would play another game to get inspiration from. Sackboy's Big Adventure was a really good inspirational game. In fact, I liked the villain in that game, the Vex dude. I think I made like several characters with that guy's similar designs because of that game.
Yeah.
And then I played like the Hot Wheels racing game recently. I've been messing with that. And then the biggest game that I've been doing a lot is this game that's on the Switch called Colors Live. It is essentially like Dreams, people who want to get into digital art. And it's on the Switch. And I've been using that a lot recently just to make concept art for the games that I'm being made in Dreams.
Yeah, it's basically like it's essentially a sketchbook, right? Isn't it? Colors Live for the Switch.
Yeah.
Like it
And
comes with a
it does
pen
have
and
like its own
stuff,
little
and-
like it comes with a pen, and you
Yeah.
use the Switch tablet. It has its own
Oh.
little social media mechanic where you can look at other people's work and see how they made it and see what like tools they used and learn other people's art styles essentially, and eventually you can eventually
Yeah.
make your own art style with that.
For the Switch, it's pretty cool, but it is essentially a poor man's Procreate. Essentially, that's basically what it is.
I mean, I
Yeah.
liked it more than Game Builder Garage. I did tinker around with that, and it is definitely a poor man's Dreams. There were a few things I found interesting about it, which was the music selection. I think was the biggest one, because you could kind of, but you would have to use a bunch of nodes just to make one unique song, and that cost way too much. But then they have the custom music where they would have their own custom songs, and they would have different selections of instruments you could add on to that song and pick and choose which one you want to go with. And you would also show like what the title of those songs were, like, or what those part of the songs are. Like one would be the melody, one would be the rhythm, one would be I forgot what the big word was. It started with an A. It was aka something or aka. I don't remember what the word was. It was like ACC something, long word, and there was like a beginning version of that and an end version of that, and all that just for one song. I thought that was interesting a bit, and it did help me understand a little bit more with music theory. But other than that, it's not as good as Dreams.
Yeah.
I mean,
So no, it has not stopped you from it hasn't stopped you from getting into other games. But Jamie, you?
So lately it's changed. So from let's say a couple of months ago, I was basically playing Dreams exclusively. But there's so many games coming out now and stuff. I thought I need to start getting through my backlog of games. As much as I love Dreams and making stuff and playing other people's stuff in Dreams, there is so many other games out there that also deserve my attention. So for the last couple of months, I've been sort of splitting my game time 50-50 Dreams and 50% other games. And I've literally just finished the first God of War that came out, and I've made it my goal now. I want to play through all of the God of Wars before Ragnarok comes out. So, but yeah, it has been tough though. I will admit, like leaving Dreams to play something else feels kind of like you're betraying it. It's like, oh, I shouldn't be spending my time playing something when I could be doing stuff in Dreams. Like, but it is nice to have that break away from it though. And when you go back to Dreams, I feel a lot more refreshed when I open a project. So
Go ahead.
Usually, I would overwork a lot in Dreams until I like have plenty of stuff to like post on the internet and whatnot. Because usually I would post like three or four things once a week on both Twitter and Instagram, and I would usually like make a whole bunch of stuff to get ready for like at least 2 weeks of stuff to post. And then while I'm like, well, I done a lot, I might as well reward myself with another video game to play, and that's how I usually do it.
So the three options I had on this poll was yes, you have trouble playing other games since Dreams came out, no, and the third option was I play but I don't finish. And yes, one with 46.2% said yes, they have trouble playing other games since Dreams came out. And then it's tied between no and I play but don't finish with 26.9%. So
it's understandable though. Like I get it. I get why it's so difficult to break away from Dreams because it just offers so much. And like to just go and play something else is like, well, why should I when there's so much here? So I totally get why the 46% went that way.
See, I put it up because I think I need to check myself. Like, as the Dreams evangelist, like, I still have to have a system in check that, make sure I'm not messing up. I can't be messing up the sermon. So, like, addiction is one hell of a thing to have, and I need to make sure I don't have it. So, like, I would go into I'm right in between the yes and the I play but don't finish section. Because I have not finished a game, except for Miles Morales, since I started since I started using Dreams. Wow. I am super into a bunch of stuff. Like I played Ratchet and Clank. Love it. Fantastic. Haven't finished it. I really love Sifu. Haven't finished it.
I haven't even opened that yet.
I've been trying to check myself so hard that like today I was like, I've been watching Elden Ring for a long time. Like seeing how everyone's getting on with it. It's not Sekiro, so I've been wanting to stay away from it because, it's not pH balanced for me. But like, I was like, man, you got to play some other stuff. So like, because the reason I say it is because it's like there's like three questions you have to propose for this. It's like, has Dreams gotten in the way of your gaming? Has Dreams become a job for you? And if it is a job, is that a bad thing? And this is why where I'm stuck, because it's like, yeah, it has become a job for me, but not in the sense that everything I do in it, I don't do for fun anymore. It's just like I'm doing it for fun, but I've waited my entire life for this game to be made, for this system to be put in my hands. And so it's like, yeah, so it's like, there's not I don't think it's negative, but then I look at the fact that I've like, like how much I've enjoyed, because I'll get them. I'll get the other games. I know I want to play them, but it's like, for instance, I bought Elden Ring today. I bought it an hour ago. No, it was about an hour and a half ago now. And I'm trying not to lie to the people. And and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to play that right after I get everything uploaded and taken care of after the podcast. And I was like, but for right now, I'm going back. I have this idea in dreams that I need to get back to it. So I turned it on and started working on something that just popped into my head. And I was just like, wait a minute. You could have gotten at least through the character creator in Elden Ring, but you just immediately put it down, and that's literally how everything has gone since Dreams came out.
I think it's the fact that you just need to literally break away, because you're just so used to just going straight to Dreams, like because like you're such a creative person, you have all these ideas just pop into your head every second of the day. I think that it's so easy now for you to make them come to life so quickly in Dreams. That's the addiction, because from memory to physicality is so quick. It just becomes like, well, why wouldn't I do it? Like, before it was a hassle to do, now I can whip up that character in 45 minutes. So I think that's the problem for you, and the only way to stop that is to literally just break. And just go, you know what, Dreams aside for a minute, I'm going to play Elden Ring for a couple of hours, and I'm not going to think about characters that I can create in Dreams in 45 minutes.
I keep trying to do it. I keep trying to do it, man. Like I was so pumped for Cyberpunk. And, like, you know, all that happened. But then they put out the new update, and I was like, okay, now's the time. I got on Cyberpunk. I love it. Love it. I spent a whole day last week playing it, which was the first day I'd turned it on. And I was like, yo, this is about to be some crazy stuff. I have not touched it.
Yeah, I put about 5 hours into Cyberpunk, and I haven't gone back since. I just can't, because there's too much stuff in Dreams to do.
And so it's just like, I think there is a point, like, for me where I need to. I am gonna have to put Dreams down for a minute. I'm
like, it's healthy for you to do that as well.
I usually
you need to have
write
that break.
notes that would help with this kind of stuff. Usually, some of the stuff I've been doing has just been writing notes, because I do have an actual job outside of Dreams that I've been doing recently to help pay for stuff. And I do also have a Patreon, although I haven't not promoted it yet. But the only reason I would ever do it is in case I actually needed the money for, like, funding the game itself. Not me, the game.
Yeah.
So in case I want to get, like, legit voice actors for stuff. Which, I mean, Ace and Hattress was definitely something that I was considering having voice acting for. And even some ideas for the Anomalite project, which I didn't even really go through much on what that project is, other than the stuff that it was supposed to be, which it's an RPG with another mechanic I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil it, but an RPG that, not having voice acting, but having something close to that. So, like, you know how in video games people always have, like, their own interpretation of what a character sounds like. It's the fun part. You use your imagination. Sometimes some people also don't like reading.
Let me ask, because I think it's... there are very few times, where I'm willing to accept a game not having voice acting.
I completely agree, especially in this day and age.
Yeah. Like, in this day and age,
no excuse.
If you have like a silent character who's just like the Ryan Gosling of gaming, where it's just always staring at the screen, like not saying anything. Like, I love Ryan Gosling, by the way, but he's like, if you've seen his movies, the like last 10 years. Anyway, the point is, like, I feel like that there's almost no reason for a game to not have voice acting. Like,
one of my perfect examples, and it annoys me with every release, and they're never going to change it because it's Nintendo, but there is no reason there is no reason why the Pokemon games shouldn't be voice acted now. Like, why is this not a thing now? Like, I don't want to sit and read text after text after text. Like, I want you to immerse me in the story. I want you to grip me in. Give me voice
Especially when they
acting.
have, like,
That
the
will
animated
solve the problem.
stuff with
Like,
the same exact characters.
just give me voice acting. Like, why do I have to read everything?
Like,
See,
there's
I
no
don't
mystery
mind.
behind it because you have to have the exact clue on what the writers want the character to sound like.
See, I have no problem with a 1, 2, 3. Let me in. What's going on, Proper Slack? Like, I see. The thing is like one of the main reasons I think for me, it's that I don't mind reading. Okay, like I don't mind that that's a thing, but I feel like, if you watch old school Japanese animation, the reason that they had those, like, what are now known as the iconic, like, flashy lines going in the background and sideways and using the same frame was because of money. Whereas I'm pretty sure that if your game needs voice acting, especially if you're an actual studio, you literally can get voice actors for free who are trying to like get their, like, name out there. Say I've worked on a project. Like, you can get people to voice your stuff. And even to the point where you're like, hey, here are the lines. You get a bunch of people send in the stuff for free, and then you pick the one you like. Like, it would do nothing but add more work for actual people trying to get into the industry. And I don't know. It's just, it feels like there's certain things that were done because of the time. And now that time is past, but people are still doing it that way. That's how it always comes off to me.
I mean, yeah, I just don't like it when a game doesn't have voice acting anymore. It's just it feels like it breaks the immersion of the storytelling, especially if it's a narrative-driven game. And like one of a good example was Breath of the Wild. Like when I first got that and the initial cutscene started, it had voice acting. I was like, oh my god, they finally broke away from just text and stuff. This is brilliant. Like, everyone's got a voice, obviously apart from Link, but everybody had a voice and it was great. And then as soon as that cutscene finished and you went to the first NPC, it's blah 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 blah, and it's like back to text again. I was like, well, why? Like, this is a huge AAA budget game. You are Nintendo. You are not short on money. You literally have the world's most grossing IP in the world, which is Pokemon. It nets the most money, so you're not short on it. So why? Oh no, we've lost. Oh, there he is.
Everything's froze.
Yeah.
So like, so
So-
why is only half the game voice acted? Like, you're breaking that immersion that you
I
initially
kind of
started
got cut
from.
off halfway through, or early on into your thing you were saying.
So yeah, so bottom line, Breath of the Wild has voice acting in its main cutscenes, and then everything else is text, and it annoys me
Yeah.
so much. You're breaking that immersion for me now. You're ruining the story.
Two things upon that I gotta say. For the
Yeah.
Anomalite project, there was different ideas of what I was going to do and considered of voicing. The main character was still going to be a silent character, but I had weird ideas. The first one was like based off, my friends forced me to watch an anime. I don't watch those things. They made me watch like an episode of My Hero Academy, but both the English and the Japanese, because both of them had both good and bad voice acting. That got me the idea of like going back to the whole people's imagination of what a character should sound like. If you had like different options that would change different voices, all the options having both good and bad choices, you would never figure out which one would be canon. But then I thought of a better idea, which was, what if I added a narrator to the game? Kind of like as if you're watching an LP, but you're playing
I'll
the
take
game.
it.
That's
take it.
fine.
Yeah.
It's still being voice acted.
And
It
that's
doesn't
where-
matter which style it's done in, as long as it has voice acting in some shape or form.
I wanted to
And that's
approach,
where-
because in chat, Jet Yeti did not seem to like me suggesting that everything should be, or most things should be voice acted. But he said, where do you get free voice actors? That's what Dreams is. If you voice act in Dreams, unless I think there was one dude that I know who did like pay me for my voice acting, and there's probably more, to be fair. But if let's say you're like you said, like Jamie said, if you're doing Pokemon or Zelda, if you opened up if you opened up the thing and said, hey, we can't pay you for it, but we want to do something to immortalize fans within the universe. We have this whole script and just full of lines that need to be done. If you could put on your resume, should you be the person being picked, that you worked on Zelda, that's worth more as a person starting out than any job.
They would pay you,
Yeah, any job you would get paid, or what they'd actually pay you given your resume. But having Zelda on your resume is worth way more. Even if it's not Zelda, if you got the chance to voice act on anything, you can put it on your resume. So even if you're a person that you only hear if the person has like headphones on that are really good in the game, and so they hear someone in the bar setting be like, hey, pass me a drink, that's still a credit. That's still a credit.
It's still resume worthy.
Yeah, and you can't find voice actors for Nintendo? I mean, there's a lot of people other than Nintendo, but they are one of the most egregious, if you ask me. So I'm glad Jamie said it and not me, because y'all know how I get.
No,
and it's all because I love them. I know people.
I love their games. I love all their franchises that they bring out. It's the only reason I own a Nintendo Switch is for the Nintendo IPs, because everything else I can play everywhere else. So, it just annoys me that they have some of the largest IPs ever in gaming, and they do so little with them, and it just really annoys me, because it's all out of passion, because I love the IP so much.
Yeah.
So I feel you.
So yeah, that's pretty much, because I think if your character's not supposed to have a voice, like your main character, if you want to keep it open so the person playing can be like, hey, whatever. I mean, we've been dealing with that forever too. Like, you give dialogue options, and therefore your character's still silent, but the world is not. Like, I don't understand how that's a thing that still exists almost in any game, because literally any company could put the word out. Just be like, hey, we're looking for voice actors, and bam, you're going to have people.
I mean, forget that. I mean, Unreal Engine now has like a voice engine, doesn't it, where you can create voice actors within the engine itself.
I never knew about that.
Yeah, and they're really realistic as well. Like, you can change like the anger in their voice, the emotion, and everything.
Wait,
I saw a video on it not long ago.
Wait, is that the NFT voice thing?
No, it's not NFT.
Okay, because I know there was the NFT voice thing that came up in Mr.
No, it's like text to speech on steroids. So you just type in what you want, and then you can go into like the timeline and change the pitch and the anger in the voice or the emotion in the voice, and it's crazy, like a really good system.
I'm against that. I just have to say it. I'm against that, because
I've heard them, and they actually aren't that bad. So, but what my point is even if you can't find anyone to voice it, there is still options to get voice acting. Like, there's no excuse anymore.
I get it. I just have to say I don't like that, because we don't need to automate voice acting. Like, that's just my thing. Like, you don't need it. It's the whole point of the argument I was making. But the thing is Jet Yeti does want to know if you can send him a link to whatever that was you were just talking about, because he's already replaced voice actors. Good job, Jamie. I hate you. God, I don't know why you're on this show. Anyway, so let's get back to something more PlayStation centric.
I was going to.
Go ahead.
I was going to talk about either. There were two things. There was one, the idea of who the voice actors I would add are for the at least the ad anomaly, like the what did I just say, the narrator. It would either be the guy who does the voice in like the Little Big Planet games, if anyone remembers that guy's voice, and then one of the people from the tutorials of Dreams was considered ideas for narration, but I don't know if they cost money or anything, so I'm just like, oh, should I have money? And the money wasn't just for the voice acting stuff, it was also considered if I had to remodel everything again, like if Dreams does go to like the PC, or no, if someone made a Dreams like game in the PC, and I still want to make my games into actual games, that was an actual goal. But if that would have happened, there's a chance that I would probably have to remodel everything onto that engine. And don't know how I feel about doing that another time after already witnessing the amount of times I've already had to remodel a lot of things.
Well, I mean, that kind of, if I understood what you just said correctly, because there's debauchery happening in chat. Basically, all I ask from people, because I will voice act almost anything. I just need to know. I need to know that the project is almost done. That you can give me a document with all the lines you need me to do with direction if you have it. If not, we can talk. But I need to have everything up front so I can knock it out and keep it moving.
That's definitely what I would do when I add voice acting. Is I'm going if I would, it has to be very close to being done.
Yeah,
or at least pretty much done, just needing the voice thing, because I think that's like going to be the very last thing I would add.
What do I think of dreams that have in Satan Alphabet? Oh, for Jamie James. That wasn't even directed at me. He said, what do you think of dreams that have no voice acting?
For dreams, it's a lot more forgivable because obviously the majority of people that are creating stuff in dreams are doing it solo. Not everybody has a team. You know, it's difficult to implement voice acting because obviously all the characters need to be animated in order for it to sync properly, and you know that's just a ton more work. So for dreams, for me, it's completely forgivable because of the situation that dreamers are in. My argument is purely based on the big people that have all the money in the world to put this into their games and they refuse to do it.
And my argument is even moderately big people that do like if you have an official studio and you're putting a studio, not just like a name and there's one guy toiling away, like because you know you won't
studio,
you won't hear me sit there and be like, why doesn't Super Meat Boy have a voice? Like I'm not gonna be like I'm not saying stuff like that, but it's just like for me it's just if you're working in dreams, and I know how hard it can be to like find people, or there's people that don't even know that Twitter is like the main place, and then some people put their stuff on places like Reddit, and to be honest, like it's part of the dreams community on Reddit is like some salty bays, like I
don't Reddit. It's a nasty place. Like
it really is.
It
like
really is super nasty compared to Twitter, like where it's all love and rainbows and like, everybody's like, "Oh, your stuff's amazing," and like you go onto Reddit, you're like, "This is dumb." Downvote.
Why do you even sculpt, bro? It's like Jesus. Like you gotta start somewhere. But other than that, like let's get off this voice thing just for the moment, because I do want to go into Project Spartacus and the things that have been leaked recently. I think it's more. I think it's.
I hate. I absolutely hate the word leaked. I hate it. Like, leaks and rumors and like these professional leakers on Twitter. It just piss off. Like seriously. It just annoys me to high heaven. We all know for a fact that the majority of leaks that come out have been paid to be leaked to get excitement built up for the thing that's being leaked in the first place. Calm down.
And so Project Spartacus is basically, I'm going to read you this quote from Bloomberg because we're distinguished now.
Bloomberg. Yes.
It's quoted, when Project Spartacus launches expected in the spring, the service will merge Sony's two existing subscription plans, PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. Currently, PlayStation Plus is required for most online multiplayer games and offer free monthly titles, while hold on. I lost my spot. While PlayStation Now allows users to stream or download older games, documents reviewed by Bloomberg suggest that Sony plans to retain the PlayStation Plus branding but phase out PlayStation Now. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The details on Project Spartacus. Basically, while still not finalized, but documentation reviewed by Bloomberg outlines a service with 3 tiers. The first would include existing PlayStation Plus benefits. The second would offer a large catalog of PlayStation 4 and eventually PlayStation 5 games. The third tier would add extended demos, game streaming, and library of classic PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games. And I want to talk about this because we've talked about many times would Dreams being made a PlayStation Plus free game be a bump to the community, because it would be a way for people to literally just, now you no longer, even after being,
on sale forever.
On sale every other week for $9. What would it would that benefit Dreams? And there's things that seem off, and I'll get to those in a second regarding this tiered service. But it's a good start because, like I said, I don't think it's a leak. I think Sony put it out there to see what the reaction would be. And they're just going to use this to shop it up, and because, there's a lot of things that need to be shopped and changed about what I just read. But yeah, do you think, before we get into that stuff, would that be a huge bump for Dreams, or should Dreams be sold for as long as it possibly can?
Well, considering that they're practically giving Dreams away at this point, as far as how much they're asking for it in the sale, they might as well add it to the system. And I think that initially you would see a growth in users on Dreams, and you're going to have that sort of balance act of it leveling off again, because you'll have a ton of people come in. You'll have the people that find it and realize, oh, this is what I've been looking for, I just didn't find it, and they'll stay to create. You'll have the people that come in and shit on everything and saying it's all crap, and then they'll leave. So yeah, you'll have an influx, and then it will go down again, then it will sort of level out where you have a new sustaining player base added to what we currently have. So I think it's a good thing. I think they should do it.
Don't you still have to pay for the description if it's still going to be a description thing?
The subscription, yeah. I mean, you'd still have to get PS Plus, but that's, I mean, really, I feel like everyone already has it anyway.
Do you need PS Plus for
well, if it's
Dreams, though? Is it a requirement for Dreams?
No, I don't think. Wait,
No,
actually,
I don't think it is.
Actually, I think it is.
Because there's some games.
I don't think you can access the the Dreams library or
This is what I was going to say, because there is some games that are online on PlayStation that just flat out don't require you to have PS Plus to access the online functionality of it. And I was thinking, is that the case for Dreams? I'm not too sure. I've never brought this up before because I've never thought about it.
I feel like there's definitely a time where my internet has died, and while I've been dreaming, and it's been you can't access this. I could access everything. Yeah,
in chat, people are saying that you don't require PS Plus to use the online functionality of Dreams.
Okay,
that makes sense as well to me too, because I don't have the PlayStation. All I know is you could use it for emergency saves or something like that from when I was unintentionally.
So yeah, it makes sense.
When I unintentionally deleted all that stuff.
Subhazed. So yeah, I mean, I would say putting it in, making it a free game, and basically in the Plus collection. I would say the Plus collection, not the free monthly games, because I wouldn't want somebody to miss out on it and then not be able to get it because they weren't at their PlayStation for a month. It just should be out there. But I
think it should be added to PlayStation Plus forever, as a permanent thing. So you have your two or three games that rotate every month, but in the corner of that picture that they do, Dreams is there as well, it's a permanent position to PS Plus.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not add it to Plus, but put it in the collection.
No, but the collection is only for PS5 users, so it would have to be added to PS Plus, so PS4 users could use it.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah,
Starting
permanent
to think
fixture.
that they might have something that, like, all this might be a part of, like, something bigger, and that this is going to eventually lead into the Dreams multiplayer thing that everyone's been talking about.
Which is
This
why we're
part-
not going to go into it today. This M word
That's
has
just a
been
little
popping
theory
up.
of mine.
But yeah.
The word that shall not be named.
But yeah, off of what was just read, because I do think putting it within that service and then, just a little marketing bump, just a little bumpy bump, I think that would benefit Dreams a lot. But
But we have had a little marketing bump, haven't we?
Yeah, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Yeah. I'm happy about this. I want to talk about it.
I'm a segue into it, baby. It's got, you know what? I'm actually going to make it. That's going to be our last topic for today. Our last topic for today is going to be that little segue.
Good.
But
let's end on it really high.
But this is where we started. Like, just off of the top, with that leak, we got some problems. First of all, I think there needs to be you need to match the, like, you need to find a way to match the day one of Game Pass. Now, I don't think they need to do, because you're not messing with the same company, okay? Nobody has more money than Microsoft, so they can afford to do stuff all the time like that, because they're just trying to get a fan base back. Like, people need to remember that. Like, I'll watch something and they're like, but Xbox is coming back strong this gen with blah, blah. I'm like, yo, they've released 3 games. and if you count, like, yeah, Game Pass is amazing. I'm not throwing any shade on that.
Yeah.
I said it was genius when they first started doing it. I'm like, yo, if this is the plan, this is the future. But when they talk about, like, the actual, like, first person stuff, and they're like, they're coming back strong, I'm like, I guess it's like
in 8 years, maybe.
Yeah, in like 8 years, we got 3 games, and y'all are talking about a comeback. But they need to match that somehow, even if it's a delayed thing. Like, you know how, like, HBO Max, when they were releasing movies, it like first month it would be in the theaters and on HBO Max, and then it would leave HBO Max after that month, and then it would come back in like 2 months. I feel like they should kind of adopt that, where it's like, it's not day one, but if you can wait like the normal window of movie releases of like 3 months, then it'll come into the service or something like that.
I've had this conversation multiple times since the Spartacus stuff started to get leaked out, and everybody was saying, like, they need to put their first party games on day one, otherwise it's going to fail. What's the point in it? And I'm like, they're not going to do it. Like, it's Sony. They are not going to miss out on that $70 price tag on every single game they release, because track record shows that Sony PlayStation people, they have no issue of paying $70 for a game. Like, that's it's just what it is, and they're not going to lose out on that money to just do a subscription service to try and compete with Game Pass. I think what they're trying to make is not a Game Pass competitor, so to speak. I think they're just trying to update the services that they currently have and merge them into one thing, because you have PS Plus and PS Now, and I think they're just trying to merge it in and modernize the services that they have. I honestly don't think they would ever do it in the first place. I think you're looking at 12 months easy after the initial release of a AAA game that they've made before it enters this new service. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
Sony likes their money up front.
I mean, yeah, and the thing is I do believe it's like, it is beneficial both ways, but it depends on what you're trying to look for. Because I know that once people get subscriptions to things, they usually don't cancel them, even if they're not using it.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's like AAA. I don't know what you have out in, across the pond, but like AAA here, where it's like roadside assistance, where you pay like $100, $120 a year, and most people never have to call them. Like, but they still play it every year.
We have the same thing. It's called AA over here, not AAA.
So, I mean, we'll see.
it makes complete sense, like what you're saying. Like, the majority of things that people subscribe to, even if they don't use it anymore, they just continue to be subscribed to it. That's the reason why the world has gone subscription-based with absolutely everything, because it's the easiest way to make money long-term, as opposed to upfront. But as we know with Sony, they like their money up front, and I don't think that they're going to change anytime soon. Like,
see, do we know that?
Heads at Sony.
Do we know? Do we know that? I only ask because, like, I feel like this is fairly new within the gaming market, and so I don't feel like they may have had a chance to show their predisposition to it just yet.
Well, I mean, if they did, they would have put a lot more effort into PS Now. I mean, we've had that since the PS3, and it's been pretty crappy since it came out. The majority of the games on there are streaming only. Like, all the old stuff you couldn't download. They didn't really put any love and effort into it, and if they did, it would have got a lot more subscribers. And I think they just, I don't know, it's just my opinion. I just don't think they believe in the subscription model as much as Xbox does, because Xbox has the ability to wait for that, that long-term income to come in, because they have the ability to do it, because they have endless cash. Where Sony is not in that situation. They need the revenue to come in up front so that it continues their revenue stream. They're just not on the same league monetarily wise as Xbox. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but I just think they like the money up front.
Yeah.
But who knows? I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong and they change and they start adding stuff to
I just think
Spartacus thing.
I always felt like PlayStation Now was like Amazon Prime, where it's like Amazon has like they have a streaming service just because they're Amazon and everybody else has a streaming service. So they have to have one. So the UI is garbage. The way they categorize and put together everything is garbage. You can't find anything unless it's on the front page. It's there. It's technically a streaming service, but they're not really focusing on it. So now that we have, now that it's coming down to, okay, these streaming services are starting to dictate a lot more in the market. Now you have people that are starting to shore up some of their things. Like, I mean, honestly, let's be fair. Like, only Netflix has a good UI. Like, that's, everybody else is, everybody is garbage, and HBO Max can't even have a fast forward button that works. But,
really?
Like, it's terrible. And I'm not going to lie, Disney Plus is the same way. Like, most of their functionality things are just, they don't work.
They're like, why does not everybody do what Netflix does?
Disney
Where
Plus
you
might
fast
be a bit
forward.
too new.
Like, when you fast forward on Netflix, how you have the little preview as it goes along, like, why doesn't everybody just use that?
It's just
perfect.
It's not even that. It's just like the functionality itself doesn't work. It's just because it's an afterthought for almost everybody else. But now you have Disney starting to put their mind into it and be like, okay, now this is an actual platform, even though they have 8 of them and 8 different services for one friggin' thing. Anyway, like, all I'm saying is, like, that's how I see PlayStation Now, where it was something that was offered because they knew at some point cloud gaming was going to become a thing. And so it's like, we're going to have this up here just for the, just to show we're in the market. And or like we're in the space. We have a share. But they haven't focused on it yet, and this would be the first time that they would actually do so. So that's why I say I don't know if we've been given a chance to see what their predisposition on it is.
Yeah, their attitude towards subscription services could have changed because of the success of Game Pass, and because of that, we might be getting a very, very good service. Who knows? Like, I don't know. I think if they do try to do it, I think what we will probably be seeing more is a lot of third-party deals. Like, you'll see a lot of Final Fantasy on there, a lot of Square Enix stuff. Third-party developers that they have good connections with. You'll probably see a lot of day one releases for their products on this new Spartacus thing. But and we have a new guest.
We do. We have a new guest.
I mean, they were there. They were on my bed this whole time. Very quiet. They were both asleep. I think one of my family members must have came home, and now they're now I'm awake.
Intruder. So we'll take that to segue into the last topic, being that we've gotten into marketing already. we need to take a
There's
moment.
another thing that I know very little. I was very silent through all that because I'm like, I have no clue what's going on. I was just here to talk about my list of stuff. I haven't even gone through much of the stuff on the list.
Oh, no.
I'm totally fine with coming back on another episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I got like still a good chunk of stuff to bring up.
Oh, don't worry. Part 2 will be in the works.
Yes. So, but we wanted to take a moment because we talk a lot about PlayStation and their lack of marketing prowess on certain aspects, and we got to give a moment to just praise PlayStation.
Yes.
Truly
Well
proper
done.
marketing with our boy Imbergs.
Like, someone must have just recently started in the marketing position and was like, guys, come on. We can do better. We can do better. And all of a sudden, this Emberg's video just drops, and it is perfect.
It is
absolutely perfect from start to finish. The editing, the production quality, the actual like script for Emberg's of what he was saying, how it went from his humble beginnings to working at Media Molecule, like to his life in art and how he's working on this new project, how he describes dreams and how he uses it. From start to finish, the whole thing was perfect, and it was short and sweet. It wasn't too short, like the what was that one called that they did with the jungle thing? Jumanji, like the Jumanji one. It was literally 10 seconds. Like, this was 2 minutes long. Everything was said that needed to be said. It was produced perfectly. Loved every second of it. They finally did Dreams justice in a 2-minute video.
They showed it being used.
For.
They showed it being used.
Was it?
It was so brilliant. Perfect. So perfect.
Brilliant.
Like they like he said, they showed the artistic background, they showed the pieces of the collaboration, but they also showed Dreams actually being used and
with
what it could be good.
And everything.
Yes.
And I loved the attention to detail with the pen, and then it glitched out to the controller. Like, just the little things like that was just spot on. Flourishes. Like, whoever directed that, props to you. Thank God that someone at PlayStation knows how to market something that desperately needs to be marketed. And I hope this is a continuation in the future, because that was brilliant. And it was only 2 minutes long. Like, that's all we needed. It's short and sweet. It's great. Love it.
No,
I'm so happy.
No, I think here's something this is kind of related to one of your polls from Twitter, and it was like stuff that would help benefit Dreams. You know what they need to market? A drawing tablet for Dreams.
Yes, that was one of the options. A Wacom. The Wacom.
Oh, that's what that was. Yeah, I didn't know what a Wacom was.
Okay, it's just the general. It's an actual like brand of it, but it's usually what everyone just refers to all of that as is a Wacom tablet. But yeah, that's it. It's I've been screaming for a Wacom for like just because I mean, if I could play it. Like, we already have the, streaming or remote play. And if I could remote play and put it over here on this monitor, my third monitor here, which is a drawing monitor. If I could mess with Flex on that monitor, as I said, y'all haven't seen what I can do yet. But if I could have that.
All I have for a drawing tablet is Intuos.
Yeah, Intuos. Yeah. So, I mean, isn't Intuos part of Wacom now? Like, does it say Wacom on that box? Because I believe Intuos became part of Wacom, right?
This is an old drawing tablet.
It might have been before they got slurped up. But I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Wacom is like their newest ones are like Wacom Intuos blah blah blah. Like maybe even for my art monitor. But yeah, and Insane Alpha Beta said Mighty has literally been screaming. I heard him from across the country last night while I was trying to sleep. I have because It's just like I tell people, it's not that it's not me digging on dreams, okay? It's just the fact that everybody has a medium that they prefer to work in and tools they prefer to do the work with. And that's just kind of where it falls for me. Is that I mean, the wands and stuff, as soon as PSVR 2 comes out, I'm going to be so happy because I want to test those out. That might be enough. But
It will be,
but I
have
know
the first one.
yeah, those I will talk crap. Those just don't work for me. For me. I don't know what it is. Maybe they're racist. I don't know. The point is they don't work. I don't know. It's just those things literally don't work for me at all.
I think
we'll
you may
see.
have a broke. I think you may have a
broken
set,
camera,
though.
a broken
Yeah.
camera.
Something's broken. Something's
Yeah.
definitely broken.
The only thing that broke when I was doing that was I pulled a muscle on my back sitting uncomfortably for 30 minutes on the VR thing doing the Dreams tutorial thing, and I was out for a whole week. I had to take lots of Advil just to finally get back up.
My back.
Other than that, this thing is perfectly fine. I really would love to play more stuff. One of the things I was considering was like horror stuff.
I am super excited for PSVR 2 purely for the Dreams aspect because I tried it when I had PSVR. I've got rid of it now because the visual quality of it is just terrible, and that's one of the reasons why I couldn't enjoy stuff in VR and Dreams is because the actual headsets, resolution is just so low. Everything just looks blurry and horrible. So with the new 4K headset that's coming out, yeah, I'm gonna really jump into Dreams VR because I feel like it's a really untouched market in Dreams.
Well, I think, I mean, people might disagree with me, but my brother was like, what he sent me this video of someone using VR, and he was like, and what's terrible is that he was like, the technology, it's just not where it should be. It still sucks. And I was like, except for like Dreams. Like that's like and things like Dreams, of course. Like there's other things like Quill and all that stuff where it does work. But I'm like, for art, that's where VR is like its strongest right now. If in my opinion, everything else is people still trying to figure out how to get around some of the limitations, which is why you see people running in like half domes taped to a circle, like whatever those peripherals are. Or they're coming out with like the tactile, or what is it? The tactile feedback vest they had one at the CES like a month ago where it was like, yeah, when you get stabbed it really feels like you're getting stabbed. I'm like, I don't want that. Like who wants that? I don't want somebody literally kicking my butt in the middle of the living room and no one else can see who's doing it to me. I don't want to. I don't want that personally. But yeah, like
I've seen some VR stuff that came with like ankle bracelets. Like you look like you came from like you escaped prison or something like that.
Yeah, I mean they're trying all this stuff, but all it comes down to is it's never, for now, for at least the next 20 years, in my opinion, it's not going to be more than just make a controller where people can move. Like you're holding a normal DS4 or 5. You have the stick so you can move, and then you can control things with the hands. I don't need it to make it so my feet are tracked or any of that stuff. It's not there yet. And
remote.
Yeah, but I mean, seeing those games where it's like, I want to go to that corner, so you like point over there, and then your character like teleports or something like that. I'm like, yo, that's you're just thinking about it wrong. It's bunk right off the beginning, like right off top. But to Char, because Char said Mighty be turning into a werewolf at night and smashing into Sony HQ, screaming Wacom support. It's only a thing. The only reason that it's a thing for me, honestly, is because our consoles are specialized computers. That's all they are. They are still actually computers. You could probably put Windows on it if it wasn't restricted. But like the only thing it would take is literally just the driver. And so for it to not have that, it's like y'all can
for Dreams it would need more than just a driver though.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
Don't think so?
No, I do not. You know why? Because it literally is using a mouse. All a Wacom is having the pointer of a mouse, but having a full hand control of it. That's it. We have it already. Like, when you're using sticks, when you're using the motion, all that stuff, you're literally using a Wacom. The only difference is I'm not holding it necessarily in my hand like a pencil. I know that they can get it up there. I know it. I know it in my soul. I know it.
Oh, geez, I just remembered something. I just remembered the Xbox Connect thing randomly while you were talking about that. I was like, oh, God, now I'm getting flashbacks to that.
So, yeah. It's that's the only reason I have so much fervor for it, because honestly I feel like PS VR2 is gonna be what I want. Like, it's gonna be close enough to what I need that I'm gonna be completely satisfied. But it's like the game was made off of painterly strokes, and I prefer a pencil. Like, that's just it. So, like, that whole thing, like, yeah, when you draw, if you go to school for it, like I did, like, you still use the wrist, and, like, it's not necessarily, or not the wrist, but the arm. And, like, you get that stuff, but that's not necessarily my thing. It's the same argument as keyboard and mouse versus controller. And the answer to that question, should anyone get in their knickers about it, is literally just, it's whatever you prefer. And that's what I'm talking about, preference.
Just having more options. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just having more options.
Like, for people who get mad at those types of arguments or whatever, it's like, bro, people are just saying they want options. Do you, even if you're not going to use it, don't you like options?
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose you're right in that sense. You know, it's like how everybody is screaming for more accessibility options now in games, and this could be, exactly fit in that remit. You know, it's a form of accessibility by adding stuff like that.
I don't like that argument. See, you're dirtying my point. you're dirtying my point with that. Sifu and Elden Ring should have easy modes.
No, I'm not on that. No.
It sounds like you're dragging my point through the filth, is what it sounds like. I'm just saying. I don't want to be mixed with those people. Yeah. I'm just saying, I don't want to be mixed with it. Look, if you can't deal with the difficulty, don't buy it.
Yeah, simple as. That's why I won't play it. Like, all my friends are like, get onto Elden Ring, play Elden Ring. I'm like, no, I don't like Souls-like, and I'm not playing it because I don't like the type of style of game. And they're like, well,
is that
that's
easy?
Just it. It's that simple as that.
Filth. No, filth. But no, that's just my thing. It's just more options is always better, and I'll always on pretty much any argument where it comes to consumer options, I will go for that. But then there's certain aspects where it's just like, you're dealing with art. You don't like the art, pass it up. Don't get mad because you want to play Elden Ring and you can't. Like, you know what? They got a bunch of other really great games. This year is going to be crazy for games.
This year has already been crazy.
Yeah.
Already in March. Like,
and I'm not going to play any of them. That's the It's really horrible, guys. I'm really gonna try to turn this around. Look, if y'all need me for anything Dreams related, you're gonna have to hit me back in a week and 3 days from today. I need to step away.
You need to play Elden Ring. You need to play it.
I need to go back to I need to go back to Cyberpunk. but yes, I'm gonna, because I also feel like one of the great, I know this isn't an Elden Ring podcast, but I feel like one of the great things about the game is that it's not one of those games that you sit down with for like a weekend and beat it and be like, that's a great game. Yeah, Elden Ring is literally a game. It's a year-long game, if you ask me.
It's an investment. It's an investment.
Yeah. But take less damage.
Meanwhile, I'm hyped for like the new Kirby game.
I would be
opposite.
I would be if he had a story.
Yep. It would be great if
because we won't start that though, because I've already gone off on this podcast like 3 times because Kirby is my favorite Nintendo character, and the fact that they won't give him a real story or a real anything other than Fat motherfucker eats cars now. Like, this is just not my thing. Anyway, back to the point. Ladies and gentlemen, because we're about to crest that 2 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fantastic episode. Tim, I'm sorry that we didn't get to all of the topics, but we will have you back. We will have you back.
Totally excited for that.
As a matter of fact, in 2 weeks, we have our next roundtable. So if you wanted to come back for the roundtable, where I often ask other people to just bring a topic or topics with them to talk about, we can get that squared away. So
all right, I'm definitely down with that. I'm going to need to be like formed again, like kind of like what we did with me getting on this episode.
Yeah.
But I'm totally down with that.
We can work that out.
Is that like is that the thing like last
wait.
episode, the episode 70, where you had all the people at once?
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
I think somebody
Okay,
I think somebody just said something, and I need to double check this schedule real quick because I might be completely wrong here. Let me get back to this. Hold on.
Yeah, the round table is where we have multiple guests on at the same time. Like
I saw a bit of that. I'm currently still in the middle watching.
They're really
good
because
so,
you bring up a topic and then you have different people's opinions on it. It's really good to get like an insight into everybody's different opinion.
Jet Yeti, the next podcast on March 11th is Bumbleberg is going to be our guest next week. And then March 18th is the Roundtable Redux. So that's going to be the one. And then after that, we have Tomaton. So, yeah. So March 18th is going to be the next roundtable. But yeah, we'll be able to get everything set up for that. Thank you for everybody that came through. Captain Tim, madman. I love the work. We're going to talk more about it soon.
Oh, yeah. There was still plenty of stuff missing from that.
Yeah. Believe me, you wouldn't be the first person that had to come back on twice.
Yeah. We will get you in the spotlight again. Don't you worry.
Yeah. So with that, everybody that joined us, thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun. I love the jokes that were cracked in chat. And we're going to get back to a bunch of these topics again, I'm sure, pretty soon. Jamie, did you have anything you want to throw out there to the people?
Just keep on going. Like, we've got a lot of games coming out, so I understand, that a lot of people won't be playing Dreams as much, but, don't let that dishearten you. It's good to take a break sometimes. You have to, and refresh yourself. Play all the stuff that's out there. Dreams is always going to be here, and we'll be ready to talk about all the stuff you create when it comes out.
Yeah. And Tim, is there anything you want to throw out there for people, especially for Dreams that you have released or will be releasing soon?
I've released a bunch of stuff right when we were doing the whole preparing for the podcast thing. Just a bunch of small things like, of course, Wheels of Music is one of the more interesting ones people should check out. Of course, the Twitter and Instagram for more stuff. I'm going to be more vague about a lot of my stuff, so I don't spoil stuff, because way back then, I wasn't sure what I was going to be doing with these projects, so now I'm more knowing of what I'm going to do, so I'm going to be very more vague with a lot of the things I show from now on.
All right, so you're getting more secretive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get people hyped for these projects.
Hey, I get you.
As you should.
So, with that, ladies and gents, we are gone, and I gotta start getting this up on. Oh, also, just for the record, I said I was gonna start doing this because I never pushed the YouTube or anything like that. But for those that don't know, my YouTube is Mighty Vicious, just like every other name I have online. It's matched across the board. Throw a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and I'm gonna get into the habit of doing this more. I don't want to, not really, but I feel like everyone else does, and I should probably promote my stuff. Yeah. So like, subscribe, hit the bell, use the 3 seashells. We're done. We're done. I'll catch up with y'all next. I'll catch up with y'all next week. Much love to everyone. All right.
Bye.
All right, everyone.